Welcome to the After Dark podcast with Anthony James and Konrad. This is an extra episode for your YouTube comments because Anthony James and Konrad could not stop rambling on. What a pair of schmucks. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode.
Hello and welcome to the After Dark podcast. This is an extra episode, supplemental episode for all your questions. Well, Konrad, how have you been this last half an hour?
I've been great. I've been keeping well.
Yeah.
I think we've done this differently. I haven't said hello in this one. We've completely screwed up this intro.
Right, okay. Hello and welcome to the After Dark podcast. I'm Anthony James and that's Konrad.
Hello!
We did it!
There we go. Now
We
I know
actually
that.
remembered our intro.
I'm like Ron Burgundy, like with the teleprompter. Like I need a very set list of things that we're going through, otherwise I'll lose my place.
Yeah, I actually do wonder if the listeners actually recognize what we do as an intro, or is it just like so conversational and nothing that they don't even notice that we do the same thing?
They probably
time?
tune us out, to be honest. Just like they just
Get to the dark.
Get to the good stuff.
Yeah, I'd imagine most people are skipping this. No one's listening to what we're saying right now. So
if you're not skipping it, thanks.
If you're not skipping it, why don't you hit the subscribe button on YouTube and podcasting apps?
Stranger from the outside.
Okay, first question for Konrad from Atahan. On a scale from 1 to 10, how devastated were you that Noah was Agnes's brother and not her husband?
I don't think I was devastated at all, to be honest. I mean, it was disappointing because obviously I'm gonna take a hit on that in the old theory matrix, but
that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
it is, yeah. I mean, as any commenter on any kind of visual media on the internet will tell you, it's about appearing as intelligent as possible.
Yeah.
But so I'm gonna take a big old hit on that one. But I mean, they got me. They got me, with Agnes's lies, and I have to respect them for it. And I them being brother and sister is kind of, it draws the eye to like their potential parentage. So I'm more excited than devastated. I'll say, to conform to the question, I'll give it a score of 2 because I'm going to lose roughly that many points on the theory matrix.
Yeah, and I like the idea that you said there that it points to their parentage. Like, if it was just a single person, you never really wonder who their parents are unless they tell you to. But once you've got siblings...
Exactly. Like Daniel Kahnwald, who the hell cares who his parents are? I don't give a shit. But like, but now Marta and Noah are brother and sister. It's like, well, now we have to start thinking about it.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so Adahan then asks, are you noticing anything about the structure of the episodes so far in season 2? So, he asks, are you noticing? So, do you notice? Because he's about to explain.
What, is it like every episode is a day again? I'm not sure.
That is true. So, yeah, you did notice something. But what Adahan actually points out here is really cool. He points out that... also, I'm just assuming that Adahan's a man. I shouldn't do that. I don't actually know. I don't know because Adahan is obviously not a cultural name where I come from. So, sorry for assuming you're a man, Adahan. If you are, I'm sure you're fine with it. Season 2, episode 1, set in 2020 and 2053. Season 2, episode 2 was set in 87 and 2020, and 53. And season 2, 3. Episode 3 was set only in 54 and 87.
Oh, okay. So is the implication there that...
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
So is the implication there the next episode is going to be the 20s and the 50s?
Potentially, actually, yeah.
That'd be interesting. We've not really seen any of the 20s, so that'd be fun to see that. But yeah, I hadn't noticed that. I can, it's continued to be a sort of day in the life of people who are about to undergo the apocalypse, but like the actual sort of timelines that we get to see, I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, and out of curiosity, actually, talking about like what we've seen in episode 3 there just reminded me, we didn't actually see where Jonas went, and he walked into that big cesium ball, the God particle thing. I think he thought he was going to go to the 50s.
Yeah, that is a good point, actually. I hadn't thought about that. But so my first thought when he went into it was that he's going to get somewhere where he's stuck. So, and it was either going to be the 20s or the 50s. And my guess was that it would be the 50s. But I guess it's not the 50s. Well, unless actually, because he walked into that ball in the ruins of the nuclear plant, maybe the next episode is going to be burnt like laying some stone in the nuclear plant, and suddenly there's like a and then like Jonas just walks out, and there's another kind of Peter Doppler-esque fish out of water moment where he's like, what? And comedy ensues.
Yeah, that'll be great. We all love that part. It's your kids burnt. Something's got to be done about your kids.
Yeah, your wife is cheating on you with Noah.
According to Konrad. Okay, so Adahan then asks, as a child, we still haven't seen Tronta and Yana interact once. What do you think about this? Is it intentional? Are you excited to see them interact?
I'm trying to think. Have we met Yana as a child?
Yeah, she was in H.G. Tannhauser's clock place with when Ulrich.
With Enos.
With Enos, yeah, when Ulrich saw her.
Okay. Well, I mean.
And a middle-aged man went up to a young girl and went, "Mama."
I don't really. Yeah. Ulrich being weird. I guess so. I've not really thought about their relationship, to be honest. Like, Yana just doesn't seem like a very. I don't want to say she's not an interesting character, because there's not really any bad characters in this show, but she's certainly not one that I spend much time thinking about. So, I mean, if they want to show it to me, definitely. But honestly, after that episode, my brain is on full Noah, Agnes, Claudia mode.
Yeah, your brain does get taken away. Like, even to be honest with you, we're not even thinking about Clausen anymore, really.
Clausen, like, what do you? I actually think Clausen is going to figure it out. To be honest, that was when I was thinking about the Mikkel photograph. In my head, I was like, "Oh, Clausen's going to see Mikkel's photograph and then like see another photograph of him in like the Nielsen household and put it together." But yeah, the Clausen Charlotte thing, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with that or whether it's going to be important.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so this is for Anthony and Konrad.
Okay.
I know you've been asked this before, but since there's two more timelines been added to the Dark Universe, it's a universe now. The Dark Cinematic Universe, crossing over with what? I don't know. So
Justice League.
Yeah, Downfall. Downfall.
Downfall. Oh my god, that's very dark indeed.
So how would you rank the timelines from best to worst? He said he knows he's asked it before, but now there's two new ones. How would you rank them now? Best to worst.
Best to worst.
Yeah.
Well, the best is. Oh, that's hard. What? I'm gonna say the best is the 80s.
Well, I thought you were going to say 1921.
No, like 21 has to be the worst one because we've seen literally like a minute of it, and it was some guys building a tunnel.
I mean, that was a pretty cool scene, though.
It was a cool scene, yeah, but it's like I can't, in good conscience, give that anything other than the bottom because we've seen so much of everything else. The 80s, stylistically, it really appeals to me, and it's got Egon and Claudia. Then it's a toss-up between the 50s and 2020. I think I'm going to say the 50s because Noah seems more active there. Then it'd be 2020. Then it'd be the future, and then it'd be 1921.
Okay, cool. For me, what did you say? The 80s was first for you?
Yeah, 80s is top for me.
Yeah. I think in the first season I talked about 50s being my favorite because of the nostalgic aspect because I watched so much Back to the Future growing up. But I'm now going to change it away from my nostalgia feelings and actually just think about which one I enjoy the most to watch. And I think it probably is the 80s too because I really enjoy the middle-aged Claudia stuff. And the Egon. I like the old Egon. I love that character. Having said that, as you know, guys, I love everyone. If I could put them all best, I would. But probably 80s. Then I'd probably have to go second. Gotta go 2020 second, I think.
Fair enough.
Then 50s. No, sorry. I think I'm. Yeah, 50s. Then future, post-apocalyptic. Then 21. I think. But it's really close, to be honest with you. It's strange. It's strange to do that because it feels like really innately bad on the ones at the bottom. But we've been asked to do it, so we did it.
I mean, I'm biased towards the 80s because I like a lot of 80s music as well. To be honest, it's And the future seems super cool. Like the gap between like the 80s and the future is very, very small. And the only reason I think the 20s are like definitively the bottom is because we've barely seen any of it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So this is for me from Atan. So it mirrors actually the first question in a way, talking about the way that the different episodes are focusing on the different timelines, because the first question was for you, second question was for both of us, and then the last question is for me.
Nice.
You see where I'm going with that? So basically, he says, Adahan says, I don't really have a question.
Moving on.
But I did want to say that I've been loving the podcast and the rest of your content. Thank you for being awesome and keep up the great work. Adahan, thank you for being awesome. Thank you very much. And also, Adahan Adeline comments, you too, Konrad, wouldn't want you feeling left out.
Well, I do feel left out, all right? The damage is done.
Konrad, you weren't good enough for the start. It wasn't for Anthony and Konrad.
Yeah.
Adahan only wanted you to realize after that it was for you too. So it wasn't really, you know. So it was more for me.
The damage is done.
Yeah. I'll just say that I'm really, people keep telling me that they love what I'm doing on YouTube, which is really great to hear, because to be honest with you, I'm just doing this for fun. So if you're enjoying watching it, that's great. I'll be putting videos up anyway.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, 2,000 subscribers now too, so mental. Right, next. I went so long without clicking this mouse, and I'm sure you just heard the clicks.
Listeners, I'm going to say this right. I haven't clicked a mouse once in either of in the main episode or this one. So if you're hearing clicking,
I had a word with him.
Direct it at this man right here, because it's all him.
That was me clicking. I'm going through the questions on a slideshow, and I just realized before we started recording, I was like, I haven't clicked into the slideshow. For the last 5 minutes while we were answering Adahan's questions, I was panicking. Right, anyway. Next question from Master Onion North. I have a question for Mr. Konrad.
A mister.
How did Alexander go from simple metal worker to running the power plant?
Just grafted his way up. Yeah. I feel like there must be more to it than that. I mean, how long does he work there for? 33 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I suppose you could graft your way up in 33 years. Like running a power plant doesn't necessarily mean you are like a nuclear physicist. It just means that you've gone into middle management. So I don't think I've put that much thought into it. I'll be fascinated to see if it isn't just that. Like if he kind of gets some dirt on Claudia and forces her to promote him.
Yeah, and I will just say, as a wink to the audience, because you'll know what I mean, but the rest of them won't. Well, the rest of them I mean Konrad. But I'll just say this. Maybe you won't even understand what I mean, but it's going to be so cryptic. Even tangentially, if you were even going to have an explanation for that question, I know what it is. That's all I'll say. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I know the explanation. And if we remember that I said this when we get to the end with Konrad, I will definitely go through that with you.
Yeah, that would be fun, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, of course you don't. Right, but the funny thing is, I might get to the end and then I'll say it and you'll be like, fine. I wouldn't draw that conclusion. It's not really like a concrete evidence,
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so next up, Brent the Middleman. He asks... well, I don't know if he asks. Let's just read it first. First, I think he's preparing us for this. First, remember Jonas traveled to the future from 2019. So he was in... Oh, okay. Yeah. There was a huge conversation about what year they were in. Remember the 2052?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he traveled from 2019, so he was in 2052, 33 years after the day he traveled. That's true, Brent. However, I assume, as I'm sure... I assume so much that I'm willing to look like an idiot. I assume that the 2052 storyline has progressed into June along with the rest of the storylines.
Yeah, that'd be consistent with everything else in the show.
Yeah, so he was in 2052 in the future when he first arrived in Season 1, Episode 10. Yeah. But at this point, he's in 2053, which makes the mistake on the Netflix menus. That's a mistake. Yeah,
let's be real. Like, Netflix... If someone's going to have made a mistake here, it's going to be Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, they don't care about this show.
Yeah, exactly. And like look at the amount of work that the show has done, putting into their own website and everything, which we're telling Connor not to go on just in case spoilers. But the whole the website that they've got there is like that's the attention to detail they go to. It's Netflix's mistake, in my opinion. Right. Now my question. Where / when do you think Jonas will end up after walking through the portal in the future? So we've touched on this a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, I figured it was going to be either the 50s or the 20s because we've seen Jonas in the 80s a fair bit. Do I think it's going to be no, I'm going to stick with the 50s. I think he's turned up in the 50s and we just haven't seen it yet.
Okay, cool. And for Anthony, which is me, do you recall what your thoughts were about Charlotte's parents when you the first watch through? If you can remember without spoiling, thanks. Well, you know, I'm pretty good.
First off, who are they?
Yeah, first off, who are they? So I'm pretty good at giving what I thought at the time without in any way spoiling, because I don't think they're, even if I was right at the time, I don't think that that's inherently a spoiler. There's been I think once that I've said to Konrad, you know, at the time I was thinking this, and it actually was the thing.
Yeah.
And I think Konrad was just like, I don't think so. I can't remember what it was about, but there was definitely once that happened.
What, on a recording?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't remember even what it was. It was only something small and inconsequential. But anyway, or might have been one of those times where I was really trying to convince you subtly that Helga wasn't dead.
Yeah. No, I rode that horse.
Yeah,
because
I was like, you know, so you think it's because I remember now, because I was like, so you think it's more likely that he like became like there's two versions of him now. He's like he's split into two different versions. Then is he just didn't die when he got hit with the rock on the head?
Stand by it.
All right. So in terms of what I thought about Charlotte's parents, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I know I have a reputation on my YouTube channel for being like crazy theories with Dark, because that's actually how I started. Even though it seems so far away now, like before season 3 came out, that's how I started. I was throwing these mental theories out everywhere. Maybe we'll touch on some of those theories in the season 2 summary.
We should definitely do that. We'll do you a theory matrix as well.
Yeah, like the theories that I put out there, and that'd be cool. Some of them were correct, some of them were not, but I'm not going to which ones. But anyway, so what do I recall? I'm going to be completely honest with you, and maybe this will change your opinion of me. I didn't actually have any prediction about who Charlotte's parents were. I'm sure it crossed my mind when I was watching it, but I binged the second season. And I really... like, there's so much gap between Charlotte being on the screen in this series so far.
Yeah.
That I think I remember when she said, you know, he never told me who my parents are or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, so we'll probably find out who her parents are, or who are they, and then I spent 5 minutes thinking about it, and then I was already into the next episode, and then we didn't see Charlotte for another episode or two, so I think that one got away from me because I was just enjoying the show too much, and because I was binging it, I didn't have time like Konrad does to stop and think, you know what I mean?
But I think it's also... it's really interesting to me how different people just fixate on different things, and I think this show really lends itself to that. So obviously, you know, you didn't really get that caught up in the Charlotte's parentage thing, whereas that's like one of my main theories at the moment, and vice versa. You know, Agnes's parentage, I've kind of started having theories on it at the moment, but I'm still not really sure. It's just kind of like throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks, really.
Of course.
And I'm sure some people were going absolutely nuts with that from season 1 onwards. So I think that's one of the really good things about Dark, is that you can kind of go down your own personal little rabbit hole for whatever storylines interest you the most.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, cool. So moving on to then the next question, and this is Donnie starts. Donnie says, will Egon finally... but before I ask Donnie's question, I keep meaning to say this on the air, and I actually haven't said this to you yet either. Donnie's got this hilarious thing, and I told him that I would tell you. He always refers to you as Rad.
Oh, nice. That's great. That makes me feel like a Ninja Turtle, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, it's great. So Donnie asks, will Egon finally completely unravel the mystery that is Ulrich? If so, what will he do with that information?
I don't think he will. Egon, has so much information at his fingertips, and he's so far away from figuring anything out of any importance. I mean, I think when I sort of reflect on what I reasonably think he could figure out, it's that Ulrich came from the future and Mikkel also came from the future and is his son. But then he's going to die. So I think Egon is more there for the character work at this point. I think maybe he'll come to accept some things, but I think also it's just his relationship with Ulrich, to me, feels like a bookend to both of their lives, where they're sort of just two old men who have made some bad choices, or, well, had bad things happen to them in Egon's case, and they need to deal with the consequences of the lives they've lived, basically.
Yeah, that's cool. So, sort of, in terms of the character work, this bleeds into that then. Why do Donnie asks, any guesses on why old Claudia is so apologetic to her papa?
Well, I mean, she split up his marriage, so that's a pretty good reason, I think.
True, yeah.
I still wonder whether the cancer is a thing. I feel like it's not coincidence that a lot of the Tiedemans have developed cancer. Obviously, it can be congenital, but I feel like there's more to it than that. So potentially what's going to make him ill and what's going to make Regina ill is something to do with something that Claudia has done. So yeah, I think it's going to be those two things, and obviously losing the home as well. But I don't know if that's going to be specifically, someone stealing his home away, or whether he just moves away once the relationship falls apart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. And Donnie left another comment saying, "Oh, and one more: will the apocalypse happen?"
Yeah.
I can't believe no one's asked this yet. This is a great one to get in the theory matrix.
I feel like they've got to show it. They've got to show it, because that ramps up the tension for the final season. That's I don't know.
I think what Donnie's getting at here is not just like, will it happen in this season? I think it's more, will it happen or will it be prevented this time?
Oh no! So I think in my head, Claudia isn't actually, or old Claudia wasn't talking specifically about preventing the apocalypse. She was talking about making it so that it never happens. So in my head, I think there's a way that they can narratively show the apocalypse at the end of this season. So in episode, I think we figured out it would be episode 7, where the apocalypse will happen, and then still end the series with it being reverted in some way. So I think that's kind of where I'm expecting them to go with it. Okay,
cool. Right. So then, next question comes from DJKL Productions. For Konrad, do you think Clausen has something to do with time travel? And just throw this in for the Vincest section. Do you think he's related to any other characters?
He's a hard one to get a read on. He's a bit like Alexander in the way that he just kind of turns up and doesn't appear to have any relationship to anyone. And I wonder whether that's going to be expanded upon, or whether he's just a character who kind of exists on the sidelines. I suppose a bit like Voller as well. I don't think he is related to anyone, because, well, or I'll specify, I don't think he's related to anyone in 2020, and I don't know. I'm trying to think if there are any families that are knocking around in the other timelines that he could be related to. Probably not. But do I think he'll get involved in time travel? He seems smart enough that he potentially could, but I don't know. I'm not sure if he will.
Okay. Another question says, another question for Konrad just popped into my mind. It's unrelated to Dark.
Okay.
But why is your name spelt the German way and not the English way with a C?
So it's not actually my real name. It's a nom de plume, and it's based on a D&D character that I made many years ago, and I just thought, well, it's a mixture of that and the author Joseph Conrad, author of Heart of Darkness. So I decided I really like that book, but I was going to spell the surname the German way and make that my internet name, and here we are.
Yeah, so Konrad goes by Konrad on the internet. And you know where we are right now? On the internet.
Yes, that's true. We're always on the internet. That's where we live.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes sense now if you chose that name that you would go for the German because you did German in school.
Well, yeah, I think I also just I kind of like arrived at that nickname. I think when I was probably about like 17 or 18, and I was like, K is a cooler letter than C, so I kind of decided on it that way.
Without even knowing that it was actually German, you're just like, I'm just gonna go for the K.
Yeah, I was like, I like Joseph Conrad as a name, but what if it had a cooler letter in it? And there's no way you can get an X into that name, so K is the next best option.
Yeah, so it's basically your pseudonym.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's the big reveal.
Yeah.
Every video from now on. What's Conrad's real name?
Yeah,
What's
there we
Conrad's
go.
real name?
God, we open Pandora's box now.
It's actually Conrad with a C.
I'll just give a different answer each time, like the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. You know how I got this name? Okay, last commenter, Animal says, if that's a real name, that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's a fantastic name.
That is great. So for Anthony and Konrad,
Okay.
is Noah genuinely religious, or is he just using religion to manipulate people?
Maybe I'll let you go first on this, but I did.
No, you go first because I need to formulate a way to talk about this without spoiling anything.
So I was thinking about this in this episode and wondering whether he ever actually was a priest, because like organized religion doesn't seem like it plays a particularly big part in like the Adam's cult. So whether it's just a cover or whether he actually was legitimately a man of God at some point, I lean on the side that I don't think he was personally.
Okay, interesting. I think at this point in the story, I would also be agreeing with you. I think that to be honest with you, I think that at this stage, the idea of him being a priest is a little bit redundant. But it was very impactful in the first season. And I think that like the idea of when they created the character, that being the way it was, really worked for me. It also explains. It's a really good way if he's jumping through the times like this. It's a really good way of like sort of showing up to the parish, and it's sort of understandable why he would be gone. I think it works as a cover for him too.
Yeah, I think it definitely works
at the same time
cover
as well. Yeah, he wants to be speaking in a very preachy kind of way, and that helps him get people on side. So I think that it really works for him, but I don't really believe that he's ever really talked about anything that would lead me to believe that he actually believes in God.
Yeah, I think it puts him in a position to manipulate people, but he doesn't strike me as a particularly religious man.
No, exactly. Okay, and last question for Konrad. What do you think the torn out notebook pages contain that makes Noah so shocked and then makes him lie to Adam?
It's got to be either it's something to do with his family. It must be like that reaction is, oh my God, I have a child, or oh my God, these are my parents, to me. So I think that's what's in there. I think that's not all that's in there. There must be some other stuff about where people need to be or what needs to happen that means Adam wants them back. But yeah, I think it was the Charlotte parentage / children thing that actually thinking about it, we already know Charlotte's already had children, so it's unlikely to be that Charlotte's one of his parents, but I suppose she could have had another one and we don't know about it. But yeah, I think it's one of those two.
Okay, cool. That's the last question, but before we go into the outro here, I just wanted to talk to you about the theories coming out of that episode 3, because we were talking about the idea that now you think that certain characters, you've got theories that, that Jonas is Charlotte's dad and that Noah is Charlotte's dad.
Yeah.
So the question to you would be, did we actually nail down your definite predictions there?
Oh, no, I don't think we did actually, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we should do that now, just so we have it on record.
Okay. So let me just think this through out loud. So my theory from last week was that Jonas is going to get back to the present just in time to see the apocalypse, and he's going to be stuck there for a little while, and he'll form a relationship with Ellie. They'll have children, and he'll basically take the children back to the present day, or to I guess to the 80s for Charlotte. So I still think the brown-haired girl is Ellie's daughter, and I still think the way that she responds to Jonas to me implies that he's her father, and the way that Ellie kind of spares him. So what's Noah's relationship to her going to be? I think I'm still going to say that Jonas is Charlotte's father.
Okay.
Just because it makes more... Well, if he has had a relationship with Ellie that has produced children, it would make sense to me that... Well, if the brown-haired girl is one of Ellie's children, which it certainly seems to me that she is, then it doesn't seem likely to me that Ellie would then go off and have children with someone else. I suppose it's possible, but it just seems unlikely in the post-apocalypse. So I think that's where I land on that one. But it does still ask the question about Noah's relationship to Charlotte then. Maybe... I can't remember what the other one was that was contradictory. So it was... Adam being Noah and Agnes's...
Yes, that's it.
Noah and Agnes's father. So... I think for the time
that's contingent on rewatching that first.
Yeah,
scene.
I need to rewatch that first scene of the first episode just to confirm the language used there. So I think I'll probably say for the time being, I'm gonna put that one on hold until I go and rewatch that episode, and then I'll be able to say whether it actually sounds like he is their father or just a father figure of some type.
Okay, no problem. Awesome. So that's us for this week, guys. I'm looking forward to next week's episode now. We're halfway through the season. If you remember, first season, halfway through was one of the best episodes of the whole show. So let's see.
We've got high hopes.
We've got high hopes. We're still not at episode 6, which I've said before is my favorite episode of this season. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But yeah, so thanks very much for your questions. If you want to leave some more questions, make sure you check out episode 17, which will be Dark Season 2, episode 4. Leave questions for Konrad on there. Subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe to podcasting apps. Apart from that, all we have to say is goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the After Dark podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode.